first of all, thank you and hello, all of us, all of you who have come here tonight. And the reason why we are here is that Axolotl Books have published its first book, which is called The Journey from Mexico to Setomaa. The very same book was published in Estonian in 2022 by publisher Hea Lugu. And I would say so far it has been going quite well. And both of those books are from the author, Stephanie Rendón. They're the same book, but now the one that we present today is the original text, actually. So the one published in 2022 was the translation from English, and now we have the English version. So to introduce, to get going, I will read and say a few words about the author itself. Stephanie Rendón, who is a writer, editor, translator, and got her PhD in Tallinn University of Technology, which is also called Staltech. She's from Mexico. Her work has been published both in Estonia and then in Mexico. For example, Que venga la noche with the editorial Libros de Godot in year 2022. The same year, this take on Mexico Setomaa that we already mentioned by Hea Lugu. Then Turgu with the publisher Kallus in 2023. Stephanie has also won awards in Mexico, for example, with her novel Flower in its Labyrinth 2024, and with her poetry in the literary contest for the Mexican diaspora in 2024 as well. And in Estonia she has participated and got, which was she got second place in the essay competition Keerab Uue Lehe, which was organized by National Library of Estonia, and also her novel Viis sekundit valgust, 5 seconds of light. It was shortlisted in the Young Novel Contest in 2022, which was organized by the Estonian Center of Children Literature together with the publishing house Tänapäev. And on top of that, she's a founder and an editor in the literary magazine called Axolotl in Estonia. So, do you want to say something on top of that?
Yes, I want to thank you for being here, and also to all of you for coming here. I know this is a difficult day because it's the day, International Day of Women, and especially I thank the women who are here today. And I'm very excited, yes, I think happy is the right word, to tell you something about my book today. I want to thank Estonia, and especially Setomaa, for being my home, and for being in many ways the source of inspiration, because without Setomaa I would have never written this book. Also, I would like to thank Melissa Rogers and Roba Parmar, who worked with the text, editing the text. And I think in general, for me, physics and literature have been always a part of my life in one way or the other. I would say that they are the queens of my life in many ways. So perhaps I should say a couple of words about me and how the idea of this book, or what is this book about, perhaps you would be wondering. I would describe it as it's a story of, in some ways, it's a story of cultural appreciation and about getting new roots, and also trying to find your place in the new country, because I guess this is something that I think is natural for everybody who leaves their country and moves to another place. At some point you wonder, who are you? I mean, am I the old person that I was before, or I am this new person in this new country? And then those two identities like a battle inside you in many ways, and then you realize at some point, at least for me, that both the ambivalence of both identities is like is the new me. And well, everybody has a story to tell. This is mine. It's a story also about love, about fighting your own demons, because I think we all have, and finding your place, finding the place where you belong, finding new roots. And I have had this discussion with different friends through the years in Estonia, like, why are you here? This is the great question. Why did you come? And I don't know, sometimes we tell like some short version to some people that we just met. Maybe we just say the easiest version, but sometimes we want to tell the full version, right? And I have this theory. We have discussed it, and I think you disagree. Let's see what you think. I have this theory. People who come to Estonia to live, they come for two reasons. One, it's because really force majeure. I mean, some like big, I don't know, something related with family, or even bigger topics, war. Let's say it's not like you chose it. You came because you had to come. But then there's this other bunch who chose to come. But living your country is nothing so simple, right? So I have this theory that those who come to Estonia for in this second group are those who are hiding something. Those who are running from something. Call it, I don't know, family, call it pain, call it you're searching for an escape, something. I put myself in this second group for various reasons. you can look into you will figure it out on the book, and it's very hard to dig into it and accept that yes, I mean, and that's why it's so hard to adapt to a new country, because there's something pulling you back and there's something pulling you to the new country where you live. In this case, for me, Estonia. So it's a mixture of things. It's a mixture of love, of cultural shocks, as well of discovering new roots. In the second part of the book, I compiled a section about Setomaa, about who are the Seto people, which I believe it's even for the Estonians, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here. Even for the Estonian Setomaa, it's not very well known place. It's not a very well known place. For example, if you ask a Seto person, okay, where are you from? They will first tell you, I am Seto, and then they say, yes, I am Estonian. So I think they are like also like so far away from the main cities. I mean, I know in terms of distance it's not so far. We're talking about less than 300 kilometers away, but still culturally they are like a bit separately. They have their own language, Seto Keel. They have their own traditions, which differ a bit from like the main biggest regions of Estonia. So it's a very interesting region as well. And when I moved there, I started to like discover it and being fascinated about who they are. Yeah, I think this is okay for an introduction.
Okay, but yeah, I agree actually with you that, and especially about the part of Setomaa, that not all the Estonians might know about it, and on top of the personal stories and the personal journey that is in this book, even Estonians find something to learn from there, and then I would say for those who are not Estonians even more. Also how to adapt here, how things are in here. You'll find all this in the book. For example, your first days, first mistakes, the first victories, and all these type of things.
And I don't know, but I think, and again, correct me if it's wrong, but I have the feeling that the Estonians, and I think this applies for anybody in their country, you are curious about knowing how the foreigners see you. They want to know, like, okay, how do the other people see us? Do they see that the same way we see ourselves or not? I mean, me, for example, as a Mexican, like I am very curious about how an American or how an Estonian living in there sees Mexico. Like, is he shocked by the same things I am shocked, or those things?
But yeah, you don't need to worry that because a true Estonian would never tell you.
True.
Okay. Anyway, you briefly talked about what is this book about, but I mean, I have to ask, and I think this is the big question always. How did you find Setomaa exactly? How did you reach there? I mean, did you discover it when you were first time visiting in Estonia, or later, and when came the idea to settle there?
Yeah, well, I talk in detail about this part through the book, but long story short, no, it was not in my first years. I mean, I heard it randomly, but I think it was until like the 4th, 5th year here, my sister came to visit, and then I wanted to impress her, like, oh, I will take you to all the coolest places in Estonia, and then we did the one tour to Setomaa, and then I was impressed, first of all, because it was like the farthest point where you can go from Tallinn, and then in this region, well, I'm talking about like Värska area, I found that there was a museum. I found there were actually many museums in there, that there were like these people wearing their own clothes, they made their own food, they had their own language, and I realized that we had so many things in common with Mexico. Like for example, the fact that they are very like first of all, they are generous and they are very united. I mean, there's community like in Mexico, which is something I don't see much well here in the city in Tallinn. And yes, that like, I don't know, like, I felt like I want to know more about this region. So it was in a trip how I discovered it.
And we already the idea of writing the book. One day I will write about it. One day I will tell my own story. Also from this trip, or this came later? No,
this came later because we bought a house. Well, in that moment I was not married with this man, but when I bought the house, I was on my own. Later we got married, but when I moved there, I mean, we don't have neighbors in there. It's just the house, a little lake, very modest house. Don't think like we barely have water, but at least we have water. And the deers, the rabbits, the foxes, the storks. So this like continuous like silence, it makes you like cool down like of this like crazy living lifestyle that we have here in the city. And I don't know, I started to see how the seasons passed, and then I don't know, I started to feel like I need to write about this place. I need to write about it. So it was there after I moved to Setomaa when I decided I wanted to write about this book.
Okay. So years and years passed, you came idea to write this book, and you said that in Setomaa you see many things that are similar with Mexico. So now when you have been here more than 11 years, in general, if you compare Estonia and Mexico, what do you see? What do they have in common? What differences, similarities?
Yeah, in general, I mean, if we think about like the past that we share, the Estonians and the Mexicans, we're not so different. We both have been nations that have been dominated. I mean, literally, Estonians, the Russians, the Germans, the Swedish, and so on. And in the case of Mexico, well, the Spanish, for starters, and we have had also many wars. Later we lost half of our territory to the Americans. We have been in many ways submitted by some other country historically. So we share those tragedies, right? And those tragedies, historical tragedies, have carved who we are now. I mean, those are the roots that we share. Although we have very different history, I think we share that. And in that sense, we are brother and sister nations. Yes, from the outside, we are so different, right? I mean, Estonians are known for being like a bit discreet. They don't trust everybody from the beginning, the opposite as the Mexicans. But I think in the end, we all are human beings, so we're not so different.
Do you think that this type of history that both Estonians and Mexicans, we have this story that we have been forced into submissions over the history? Do you think it has helped you to connect with local people also a bit better, to understand them, to find something?
Yes, actually, through my years here in Estonia, I have been like really trying to connect, to empathize with Estonian culture. And actually, a friend gave me an advice. He said, if you want to understand Estonian culture, the fastest lane for that is through its literature. So I have really tried to connect with Estonia through its literature. Unfortunately, the amount of works that have been translated to English or to Spanish is very limited. But I think more and more this is changing in the last years.
Yeah, I can also add a bit from here, because I know I have read some Estonian literature, and the problem is that most of the fundamental texts, the core texts, are not translated into English. Some are, like Tammsaare, a little bit of Jan Kross, but many of those that we quote and we use.
Nothing of Bilde, which is a pity.
Yeah, nothing of Bilde, nothing from modern things, nothing important from Kivirähk, which we quote a lot. I mean, from the younger generation, Oskar Puts not so much.
But I'm starting to read in Estonian already, so it took me 11 years to start. And I started with Kevade, which everybody in Estonia has read when they were young. So one day I will be able to read, I don't know, Kaplinsky or something.
After Kevade, one day you will be able to read Suvi.
Yes.
Yeah, but before time there is Sügis. And so it goes. Anyways, okay, let's come back to the book. We started to promote Oskar Puts already.
No problem with that.
Yeah. My question is that now, after all this time, when you start to wrote this book, you had to think back on your time in Mexico and how did you left there and so on. Did it brought back some memories, some nostalgic feelings, something that you had already forgotten or buried down?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of nostalgia in the book, although I don't think it's sadness. No, I don't think so. But you, the readers, will say it better, can tell better. I think the search for this very complex feeling about the sense of belonging, it's very present, I think, through all the book. And I don't know, it just came to my mind. It was in the novel by Italo Calvino, Invisible Cities, and there is a part where the great Kublai Khan, the conqueror, is meeting with Marco Polo, the Venetian explorer, and then Kublai Khan asks him, have you seen any other city as yours, as Venetia he was referring to? And then Marco Polo says, I don't know. And then Kublai Khan is like, what are you talking about? You are from Venetia, so you can tell me if you have seen any other city like this or not, or why not? And then Marco Polo is like, no, I can't, because the moment the words are, he says it very nicely. I'm super bad for paraphrasing, but the moment the words are written and spoken, and I I have lost my city. So I think in this way he means like it doesn't say it like exactly, but it's like he has been so far away from Venice. Sorry, I said Venice. I don't know in which language I'm talking. I have like all the Venezia, sorry, in Spanish. Yes, Venice. He has been so far away from his land that he starts to forget it, and he feels sad about it. And it's actually very sad. And I think, in a way, some of that is happening to me already. Not that I have forgotten anything or everything, but the more you distance with something, the more you feel that you're losing it. And in a way it's sad, but at the same time it's great because you're acquiring new roots, and this is also good. So every year I feel I am losing something Mexican and gaining something Estonian. Is it sad? Is it happy? Is it tragic? No, I think it's just what it is.
Well, okay. We just stopped a bit longer on the Estonian literature topic, but you're from Mexico, from Mexico, so for sure you're also very familiar with the Latin literature, right? And now that you know a bit about Estonian, so how would you compare them? If you have to say something to compare or to parallel Estonian and Latin literature.
I think something we also have in common with Estonians. I think not only Mexican literature but Latin American literature, also Estonian literature. We both have been really bad at telling our stories in the past. We have been very afraid to tell our stories because of many reasons. Call it Big Brother, call it government, call it politics, geopolitics, whatever. But now this is changing. We are not afraid anymore. So I think there is a boom, call it like that, of wanting to know the stories further than what we can see in documentaries or in in the TV. We want to hear it from the people, from the people that lives in places and so on. So I think there is a big space right now, like in general, in both our countries, in our regions, in Latin America and in here, for this kind of literature where you tell a story. I mean, for example, the French, the British, they were very good at that all the time, but not. We are slowly catching up on that.
Okay, and how is the? I have to say, I mean, this book is still it goes under the travel writing category, right?
That's how they put it here.
Yes, I mean, how do you see how is the travel writing in Mexico? I mean, I have never seen any Mexican travel book because I don't read in Spanish mostly, I would say. But maybe you can say something about the Mexican travel writing and also something about Estonia.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, a few days ago, on the 4th of March, it was the birthday of Edward Wilde. And please correct me here, Tanel, but he was the first European for the Estonians. He lived 20 years away from Estonia, and he was the first one, or at least one of the first ones known, who started writing about his trips. He lived in Belgium, he lived in Turkey, he made a crazy trip to New York, where he was even kept in Ellis Island in some sort of prison for immigrants. So, and he started to write those chronicles, those stories, and he sent them to the newspapers in Estonia. And then they were published. And then the Estonian people were like, wow! I mean, they were reading in their own language about all these countries. So he was like, the way he wrote, it was very witty, with humor, and the people loved it. So he brought Europe to people in, like, let's say, in not like complicated terms that people really could relate to. And yes, as I was saying, it was his 160th birthday 4 days ago. So, and I'm presenting this book today, so I think it's very well in line, I would say. About travel writing in Mexico, I think it's also quite popular, because Spanish is one of the most spoken language in the world, and many works are translated. So you have like in there a really rich selection. I mean, for Spanish speakers, selection of books.
You don't have an idea no plan to translate this book also into Spanish? It's already in Estonian and already in English.
I think I already know it by heart. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah, one day. I hope. Yes.
Yeah, because the reason why I ask it is because this particular book, I found it interesting because it was first written in English by a person whose native tongue is Spanish, but then again it was first published in Estonian by a translation.
Yeah.
So with all this, I would say in Estonia, kompot, or it's more like in Russian, kapot. How do you think, or what do you think about how the language changed the story or the book? And we know the movie Lost in Translation. Is the things really lost in translation, or sometimes the translation gives some new dimension, or in generally how the language and translating it changes the book?
Well, I think first of all, translators are also co-authors because it is their words that it is the spirit of their words what is in there. So I think this is a really important part of any publication that is translated. And yes, as you said, and by the way, Tanel translated part of this book to Estonian. The reason why it was published like that is because, yes, I realized I wanted this story to be published here, so I thought if I write it in Spanish, then I will have to find a translator from Spanish to Estonian, and it's really expensive and really hard to find. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it in English. But yes, it's true, it's not my mother tongue, so it's already hard from that point of view. Well, then it turned out that you were my husband. So I asked him.
It's a good discovery.
And that's why Tanel helped me with the translation. Well, he and Mario Jogedar, who is not here, translated the version in Estonian, which is the first one that came out. Since I already had the manuscript there, basically the original waiting, then it was like, okay, well, we should publish it here. I think, well, at least in my first years when I arrived here to Estonia, and then some family or friends came to visit, I was always looking like because I don't like to give mugs or chocolates or whatever. I was looking for like, what can I give them, like a souvenir from Estonia. And the only book in English that I could give them in those times was this one by Petrone, My Estonian, in English. It was the only book about something Estonian, like a souvenir for me, and I always gave that book. So I thought, well, maybe one day I can write one book and then I can actually give my book to somebody else. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, we can't go around nowadays from the topic of AI. So I have to, it's like a mandatory question you have to ask every time, from every artist, every musician, and now also every writer. How do you see that the literature and the AI go together, and what is the future?
I think all has been said already, but if I might add a piece, in a world where everything is AI and digital and screens and stuff, I think things like this, I mean, look at us. We are under the same roof right now, talking, looking at each other, telling truths. The same happens if you go to the theater, if you go to opera, if you go even to a museum with literature. So it's very rare already to see that. And I think the more the digital things come, the AI and all these things, the more we're going to need these kind of spaces, these kind of refuges, or I don't know how to say, like these kind of places of respite, places where we can breathe, where we can rest. And humans, we need that. So I think the stronger the AI and the digital thing, then it's good, because then we will need more of this, and we will provide and we will create the spaces where we can, you know, meet each other. People tell the truth, just be. Yeah.
Why not? But just continuing on the same topic, you don't have the feeling that that how the AI creates today the content is that it uses already, that it exists. This all the data information that we know today that is inputted somewhere, and then it mixes it and creates new ideas. But in literature, in arts, we often search for the new original idea. But this mixture of the previous ideas is already like a guarantee that there is no original idea.
We already do that. I mean, whatever I write comes from my own AI based on all the things that I already read. And the same for anybody. Nothing is new. What is new is the ways of telling things. This is what we do, but nothing is new. Nothing. I mean, all what we write about, we read it somewhere, we just like digest it differently, and we imprint something new on that.
Yes, exactly. This is where I wanted to get that. When we read somebody, and when we read, we have influences, and every writer has influences from the writers that he or she has read, which, and it goes. It's like genes, that they go on and on. I mean, this writer who influenced you, somebody influenced this writer, and through that you also have influence.
But I mean, before that,
okay, right.
I mean, we write because the world is not perfect and it owes us something, and because we feel that the world is better if we write about it. So that has nothing to do with the AI at all. I think what matters is like the motives. You see, why you publish something? Why do you write anything? This has nothing and will never have anything to do with the AI.
Why? But with those genes and influences, actually, I want to reach there. That I would ask you, what is your influences? What as a writer, your favorites who have touched you?
Every year I will answer differently because it's influenced by what I read the previous year or what I am like into now. But I don't know. These days, as I said, I am reading a lot on Estonian literature, as much as I can. Pivi Luik, Jankros, of Latin American literature. For example, the boom period is like my favorite. Carlos Fuentes, Julio Cortázar, and Borges for me is the best short story writer. Also, I don't know. Sometimes I'm reading classics, American classics. I'm more into like classics more than modern literature. Yeah.
Very good. Now, if we look into the future, can we expect something else from you coming soon, or rather not
Yes,
so soon?
yes. Hopefully, by the end of this year, one more book comes about Mexico, but from the perspective of Estonia. I mean, because this book is not really about Mexico. It's more personal, and yes, of course, it involves about Mexico, but it's more about like the context of Estonia, like what I have discovered, my story, and about Setomaa. But in this new book, I would like to publish next before the end of the year. It would be about Mexico from the context of Estonia.
Okay, I will stop myself a little bit in here and ask if there is somebody who might also have a question or want to know something. Something? Yeah, I will come and pass you the microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm curious, in which language of
it's off now.
No,
No, it's all right.
Ah,
Just you have to
sorry,
be a bit more loud.
I will try.
More brave.
So my question is, in which language it will be on your book?
Estonian.
Oh.
But it will be the same case as now. We will have the original in English because Tanel is a translator actually. I didn't introduce actually who is Tanel. He is a cinematographer and translator. Yeah. Yes, so it would be in Estonian first, and maybe later we will publish it in English.
I will be waiting.
Thank you.
I have another question. Now I'm asking you. Can we also expect this book to come in English later?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same system, basically.
That's what I would like to.
Okay, anybody else?
Okay, I have a question. This book that's actually on the border is a borderline between Mexico and Estonia and the written English language. How does it affect the story of the book? I mean, the fate of the book. Does it open doors or on the opposite? Does it make the life of the book more difficult? You know what I mean? That it's like it has three cultural influences.
Yeah, you mean like if it like shadows the other, or well, in general, if I look back at the things that I have written, I'm always a positivist. I think, please somebody correct me, because I don't remember who said these words. It was one of the sisters, Bronte, I think. She said, there's already enough sadness and horrible things in the world, so what I write is stories with happy endings. I do the same. I don't, I think we have enough tragedy out there, so I think he's not really appraising for any of the cultures, no, neither. I talk about like the negatives and the positives as well as I seen it, like as a human being. So I'm not really like counting how much I have said well of something or said bad of the other. It's more like an honest, let's say, cultural review. Let's say it like this. So, but I think I'm praising more the Estonian than the Mexico in there. Yeah, maybe again it's part of the immigrant journey. I don't know those who are not Estonians in here feel, but sometimes you feel like praising a lot Estonia, and sometimes you want to like, oh, in my country things are not like this, right? We do this all the time. This comparing, but in Mexico it was like, but in Canada, this is something that I think all the immigrants we will be doing for the rest of the times, because we were born somewhere else and we can't ignore that. But yes, accepting it, it's also good that it's a flaw. Tanel, I think there was somebody. Yeah.
Hi, I have a couple of questions.
Hi.
First one, if we live in a perfect world that there's a lot of Estonian works translated into Spanish, what one work of what you have read would you give to a Mexican or anyone in Latin America and tell them, hey, read this and you can understand the Estonian people, everything?
I would give Truth and Justice, definitely, because in there, I mean, I have read it in English, the first two parts, which are the ones translated, Vargamäe ja Indrek, and I think in there you can really capture the Estonian soul. Why Estonians are like that? I mean, yeah, I mean, we can talk 1 hour about why I believe so, but I think this is like the most representative. I mean, if somebody would come and knows nothing about Estonia, but we really like to know, and I could only recommend one, I would recommend that one in Spanish. So we need a brave translator who wants to take the task.
Okay, the other question was about something that you said earlier. What would you say that is your favorite thing that you have gained from living in Estonia, and what would it be like the thing that you're like, I'm okay of losing from Mexico?
The thing that I value the most yeah, would be the same. I think is the appreciation for nature here, and you know, people have told me about this. Like, but you were in Mexico. You have amazing nature in there. I mean, you have mountains, you have desert, forest, steppe, everything. How come you are how come really you are impressed by Estonia, which is like an infinite land, right? Just a plain. I think, at least in my case, the problem is that I didn't explore so well my country before I left. So I feel that now I feel that I don't know it, and I know better. I know better about Estonia, and this connection with nature for me has been very important because it's something I didn't have in Mexico. I mean, yeah, we're here to tell truths, right? So. For me, I never felt safe to explore it in the ways that I can explore Estonia. I mean, there in Setomaa, I just take my backpack, and in the morning I go to the forest, and I'm really scared because in there's no people. So I know that if I shout, nobody's gonna come and help me. I'm scared of the animals, but not of the people. I'm scared that maybe I see a bear, which I have seen. I'm scared that maybe I will see a wolf. I haven't, but I have neighbors who have seen them. And I know that in there I'm really alone. So I'm like, if an animal attacks me, I'm really alone. Of that, I am scared. But I am not scared that somebody's going to steal me or anything. So this appreciation and exploration for nature is what has given me the most. I mean, just to give you a little example in there, because the house is on the border, it's a very interesting area. The house in Setomaa, where I live. So since it's in the border, from the window, I can see the post of that divides Estonia from Russia. So I know that it's 40 meters away. So I know that from there on, I can't pass. So it is the region where the house is part of the border patrol route. So they come and go, I don't know, sometimes 3 times per day, sometimes 10, I don't know. Maybe if they see something weird, then they pass again and they pass again. So it is common that I am in the forest, and then I pass through a road, and then they stop me, like, okay, who are you? What are you doing here? And they are usually different people, so it's not always the same people. And well, sometimes I forget my ID. I'm not gonna take my ID to the forest. So then it's like, well, okay, who are you? Show us your ID. So then I have to tell the whole, well, I'm leaving that house. Okay, where is your ID? I don't have it. Okay, then let's go for your ID. So we drive with them, and then I show them my ID. We wait like 10, 15 minutes, and then they are like, okay, fine. So in that sense, there's a lot of safety in there. I have heard some stories of some people crossing, and they have like some action in there from the Russian side. But other than that, it's just nature, and this is something I wouldn't dare to do or to live in there in Mexico. So for that, I feel very, very thankful and lucky that it's possible in here.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have enough time. Yes, one more question.
She has a question.
Do you miss Mexico sometimes? And when if, what to do to get over?
Yes, I miss it most of the times. But what do I do to get rid of it, or to like deal with this feeling, with this sensation? I think most of the times I cook something Mexican, then I feel closer. That's why in the summer we grow chilies. So we make our conserves, our sauces, just like Estonians do for the winter, and this makes me feel closer. I also try to read Mexican literature. You know, in Mexico, I didn't read almost nothing about Mexican literature or of Mexican history. I was just not interested. I think this is the same what happens with anything that it's been taken away from you in life. Now you want it, right? Now you want it, and you want to keep it close to you. Yeah, it's in Mexico we say, I don't know if it sounds okay in English, but it's like we were happy and we didn't know it.
These are very beautiful words to finish this little conversation we had. I'm sure we could keep going on and on and on, but as time is limited, and if you want to have a little refreshment, there is on the table, there is a few wines and some non-alcohol drink. That's why we have to end this in here. So please be welcome. And I just want to mention that if you want to buy this book today there is a 10% discount in here in Rahva Raamatus. So
Thank you for coming.